What's going on, everybody? In this series, I want to do a new series since I'm outside teaching more. I want to help you understand how, as a teacher, we go through and think about, helping people improve in certain areas. And hopefully, as somebody that is trying to get better at the game of golf, you might see this and say, hey, that will help me as I'm on my journey. So we're going to call this the Live Lesson Series. Let's get into it. Hey everybody, Scott Hogan coming at you. We're actually at my home office. This is where I do a lot of work, especially in the outdoor season. Not at the studio as much, but I do a lot of work looking at swings, looking at my students, and always kind of analyzing what's going on with their games. So what we want to do in this series is kind of show you what we're going through, what's the process for improvement, because I get a lot of people that say, oh, hey, I want to get better, but I don't exactly know what all the steps are. So I think it could be helpful as a coach if you see what my process is to go through and what I'm looking at to get people to get better. So we're going to do that. Got some students and some swings and stuff that we'll go over, and really looking forward to this. It's going to keep me on my game, but hopefully help you as well get better at golf. So click that subscribe button. We're going to have a lot of different topics, a lot of different swings coming up, so don't miss out on those. All right, so we have our student here today. So you're going to see this student is a very new player. He's played before, over the years, but as he's getting closer and closer to retirement age, he is wanting to get back out there and play more. So what we're going to see here is somebody that has done this a little bit. We tend to have a little bit of issues with, some bad habits that we have to break, things like that. But the big things that I'm looking at are, we're just going to have to get some good concepts in for the player. We might not get this swing all the way where we want it to go. It's going to depend. But when we're seeing people in that retirement age, we have to do the first thing, which is analyze their ability to make certain moves. As you're getting older, flexibility goes down, mobility goes down. So you're not going to be able to move in certain ways. That's always the first thing I'm looking at with the student is, all right, how much are they able to move and how much are they going to be able to change? A lot of people aren't going to put the work in that is required to be able to change their body physically to make certain moves better. Now, that's fine. You just have to know that as a coach, and you have to work around that. So that's very important as we're working on golf swings as a coach. I see that mistake a lot where people try to do things that, let's say, a tour pro is doing, but they spend 50, 60 grand a year on somebody just to make sure they can do those moves. I mean, that's what they're doing. So we have to be very careful about that. Now, with our student here, as we look at this swing, you can see there's quite a few things we could do. Again, pretty new player, only been out a couple of times, and since though he started many years ago, but he's just starting to get back into it. You can see we got quite a few things going on. We could look at the grip. The grip is a little bit on the weaker side. We could look at the posture. He is very bent over at the ball. We can see the swing is definitely over the top with an open club face. And we can also see as he's going through that he's not shifting his weight. His arms are shortening through impact, which leads to hitting the top of the ball. Or if he actually does get down to the bottom, he's going to hit the ground a lot first and hit these chunks. So as a coach, there's a lot there. One of the biggest things we have to look at, and you'll hear us talk throughout this series, is, all right, what is the threshold or how much information do we want to give? There is a mental aspect to learning and improving, and as a coach, you have to recognize that, hey, I can't overload this person too much, or else mentally and physically, they're just going to collapse. It's like building a house. If I don't have a strong enough foundation, the more and more layers I add onto it, eventually you're going to reach this point where it's all going to collapse. It's just going to break down and everything falls apart. So we have to be very careful about what we're going to do. So as much as I would love to get all of these things knocked out, the thing I have to do as a coach is find the thing that's going to make the biggest difference and then go from there. So for me, the first thing I always look at is we have to get shots in the air. We have to get shots in the air because if the ball is not in the air, we're not going to be able to tell where it's going. we're not going to be able to determine, hey, are you hitting a fade? Are you hitting a draw? Are you hitting a hook? Are you hitting a slice? Now, we know because of the swing path and face that it will most likely be a fade or slice, but you really don't know that until somebody actually hits the ball in the air. So when I have that idea, the first thing we're going to look at is we need to attack the low point of the swing, which is we have to hit the ball first and hit the ground second. So what does that mean? We're going to attack getting some weight shift, and I want this student to feel like they are extending their arms through impact, driving through the ball instead of thinking, all right, we're going to lift the ball, which is what I typically see people do when they are shortening those arms up through the hit. People that do this, they are so amazed how far the ball goes with less effort, which is what we want. You don't want to have to feel like you're swinging 100% all the time, but they're just happy to see that ball go in the air all the time. And this idea that they're more consistent becomes a little bit easier. So for our student here, what do? Well, we're going to start with some basic things. We're going to start with working on some shifting, getting that club to swing. We're also going to work on just making some air swings where we are just feeling those arms extend all the way through towards the target. Okay, that's our two main goals. Then we're going to have some shots where we're going to just start it off nice and easy, and we're going to work on hitting that ground in front. Now, what I do is put a tee out in front of the ball and have the student aim for that tee. Still hit the ball, but try to take that tee out of the ground. You can also, when you're outside, just pay attention to where your divot is hitting the ground. That also works really well. So we're going to do that. And what we started to see is the students have started to get the ball in the air. Now, while we're doing this, because the club face and the path are off, we have to pay attention. This student was able to still hit the ball relatively in the middle of the club face. So he was seeing the ball get in the air, but we do have to pay attention to that sometimes hey, we have to make sure we're still hitting it in the middle of the face too. But in this scenario, it didn't happen. If we did that, we would address that issue that can pop up. So we're getting the ball to go up in the air. Now we can start working on, for the next time, working on some of the club path and club face issues. Now, I get a lot of people say, Scott, why don't you address that club path and face right away? Well, you have to look at where we're going with the swing. This particular student, he's having an issue with swinging down through the ball. So his angle of attack is too low. He is probably going up on a shot. We want to attack irons and shots off the ground with a downward angle. Now, if I was to shift the club path, when you switch the club path to a more in to out club path, that actually makes your angle of attack go up. So when I have somebody that's got an angle of attack that is too up, and then you start shifting their club path, it's going to get more up. And the problem is they're not hitting down on it. So that's why we don't attack that yet. That's going to come later, and I have to put that on the table for another time. Again, something that as a coach, you'd love to attack it and say, oh, look at this beautiful swing, but it's not going to help the student. It's going to discourage them, and they're not going to see any results quickly, and they're not going to fix the biggest issue that's going on. So that's what we're looking at with this student. That's how we attack the issue. And you can see towards the end here, we're making good contact and seeing that ball fly. He was very encouraged, and he feels like he's got something that's easy to work on that he can go do a lot before the next time he's going to come back. So that's that student. This is our working on getting that ball into the air. Try that out. That's something you want to be doing, is get that shot to go up in the air. So let me know what you think of these. If you like the explanation, how we're going about things, if this helps you out. This is my process as a coach. I've done fairly well with it, I think. So this is how I do it, but hopefully this helps you understand that process, and that helps you apply it to your own learning. So let me know if you have any questions about it. Thanks everybody for tuning in, and click that subscribe button. We've got more coming with it, and we'll be back at it. Thanks for watching. Peace.